Welcome to Drew Coat Sports Talk. I am your host, Andrew Wright, and this lovely face, bearded man over here is Cody Johnson. Cody, I'm excited. This is my favorite time of the podcast, is baseball.
He gets just a little bit,
You should see my notes compared to anything else. Baseball compared to basketball and football combined, baseball just trounces it. There's a lot of stats in baseball.
If you all think you know more about baseball, good luck. He probably rules in all knowledge.
No. Because again, I will refer to the other video that we just filmed about the Raiders. I don't have a job in that, so I don't know everything. But I like to think I do, and my wife will tell you I believe that I do. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the San Francisco Giants. At the time I wrote this, they were struggling, and actually at one point they were the worst team in baseball.
Yes.
Now, I had said this before, and I think you can vouch for it. I didn't feel like they were going to be the worst team. I still feel like they're a good enough team to possibly make a wild card spot. Okay? He will tell you that I fully believe that.
Yep.
And it's not because I'm a Giants fan.
Really, guys, he's drinking that Kool-Aid, I'm telling you.
It's not because I'm a Giants fan. It's more of I know how this team works, and the way that our ERAs on every starting pitcher was, it's just not going to how it's going to end. And our lineup is better than what it says. But the Giants, because of the slow start, are really hurting as of now. They're second to last in the NL West. They're 9 games behind first place Colorado Rockies. So, the question was, are the Giants in trouble? But I'm going to kind of change it up here for you.
Okay.
How do the Giants get out of this slump and make it to the wild card? Because we are going to be talking about the Dodgers in another segment, and I believe the Dodgers are going to win the NL West. How do the Giants get out of this and into the NL wild card versus them staying the way they're playing right now?
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. As I'm looking at the schedule right now, we just finished our game today against the Dodgers, where we lost. Then we've got St. Louis, and we got Chicago, we've got Atlanta and Washington. So those are going to be some tough wins outside of Atlanta. I think if we can at least get to 500 for the month of May, which means going on another winning streak, because we did go on a slight 4-game winning streak just last week. So that means we got to get on another streak. But that means our pitching's got to come together, and we just got our closer back from the DL. So hopefully, once our hitting comes to fruition, then he can hold down the fort and not give up some blown saves. However, come June, our schedule gets slightly easier, where we got Philly, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Kansas. Colorado's probably the biggest threat right there, and then you got Atlanta, and then you got the Mets of Colorado again at the end of the month in June there. So that'd be a little bit more difficult. If we can win the games that we're supposed to against these teams, because I think they're in the same position as we are. So really, if you think about it, it's kind of cliche, every game is 50-50, but honestly, these are games that if your team is going to be a playoff team, you need to get these wins. You need to do it. And, Cueto has been the best pitcher so far, even though he's been roughed up. He's got to settle down and come in. You've got Matt Moore right now that he's throwing everything and it's getting hit out of the park, it seems like. So he's got to definitely settle in. Matt Cain has been surprisingly pretty decent, which is funny to think about because he's the oldest pitcher on the staff, on the rotation right now. However, if their pitching can just hold float, get Carlos Arroyo, get Buster Posey, get the hitting going, because I know they got back
Christian Arroyo. And then I know that they just got back Span off the DL, Belt's back. So I think if the hitting comes, then we'll see some positivity coming out of June. We definitely need to be about 5 to 10 games above 500 after June. And I'm not saying as our record, I'm saying the games that we play, we need to be about 5 to 10 wins more so than our losses. So we need to win more than what we lose, which is what we've been doing the previous months. And I think that's where it comes in. I just hope that we can hold down the fort until Bumgarner comes back. Because come July, if we are in a position where we're at 2 games under or about 500, I think we can catch up to at least the second wild card. In my opinion, and you and I were talking about this earlier, I think the Diamondbacks will squeak by and get into the second wild card, but the Giants will have a shot if by June they can get their record close to about 500 to 2 games below 500. Then, in my opinion, then they can make a stretch run, because that's sometimes what they do is they'll make a stretch run at the latter part of the season, and that's what we really need. But they've got to stop the bleeding when it comes to the pitching, and they've got to get the hitting under control now because they're just too sporadic. So that's what I think would turn it around.
With Mad Bum being out, it hurt us, and it wasn't like we were killing it with him in, and so that's why it made it so much worse at the injury at the time, because now we've already dug ourselves in a hole, and now it's even bigger with him out. And we already had Denard Span on the DL at that time. Hunter Pence is getting injured here and there. And he was starting off hot. So it really hurt our lineup really early. The Jarrett Parker, he wasn't hitting, but he was a better option than anything that we had until Mac Williamson was supposed to be called up. And now you see Span is back. He's killing it. He's hitting over before he went on the DL, he was hitting 200. He's at 266 right now in his batting average. That helps immensely, especially as a leadoff hitter. Then you had Mac Williamson, who was in AAA. He was kind of going through some rehab. We had Jarrett Parker. He gets injured. So we had, Gorkys Hernandez, who's hitting a whopping, what was it? I think it was a 160? 169, excuse me.
Don't forget.
A whopping 169, of course. And so Justin Ruggiano, he was just added to the roster not too long ago. He's not doing much. Michael Morse, he's a guy who's just going to swing for home runs, so he's not going to have a good average. Who do you have? I mean, the Giants are built for contact. When you have guys like a Gorkys Hernandez, who supposedly is supposed to have a really good arm, and from what I've seen so far, I haven't seen it. Justin Ruggiano is just really, honestly, to me, a roster fill-in. Michael Morse is a guy who swings for home runs. He's not swinging for contact. So the issue is you have too many different personalities in this lineup, and it was hurting them. Now you're getting guys back. Now you're starting to form to your lineup, and now you're starting to see them get onto that 5-game winning streak, and then finally making a run at this. Now, we dug ourselves in a big hole. It doesn't help that Cueto isn't pitching like he usually does. It doesn't help that Samardzija went off to an 0-5 start and just finally had his first quality start. It doesn't help that you have Matt Moore, who was killing it for us when we traded for him, and now he's got the highest ERA of the starting pitchers right now. And your best pitcher is Matt Cain with an ERA of 4.04. You cannot live with that.
No.
You cannot. So luckily the Giants finally started hitting. It gave the pitchers more confidence. You saw, obviously we just talked about it, Jeff Samardzija got his first win. Cain looked really good in his last outing. Cueto got roughed up again, but when you pitch against Kershaw, you're going to get roughed up most of the time. And Matt Moore had a good start, his last start, so it helps. But our relief pitching is terrible too. And then when Melanson went down, it was even worse. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, Andrew, he had 2 blown saves. Well, like I've explained before, Melanson is a ground ball guy. He's trying to get these guys to make contact. That ball was elevating a little bit, and that's why he went on the DL, is because to take care of that issue. Obviously he was injured, but because of the injury, he was leaving that ball up. Now he's bringing it back down. Hopefully that'll help. And his ERA isn't even terrible. You want to tell me he's got 2 blown saves? He's got an ERA of 2.53. I mean, that's good for a closer. That's what you want. And then we have a ton of young guys that we just called up or just added to the roster. Right now, it's tough to see, but honestly, I still feel like when we have Hunter Pence back from the 10-day DL, Buster Posey's killing it. I'm not worried about him.
He's doing phenomenal this year.
I want to look. If you look at Belt's batting average, he's 229. If you look at his on-base percentage, that's where a lot of people do not look at, is the on-base percentage. The on-base percentage is how often this guy is on base every time he comes to bat. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up here. But he hit 4 home runs in his last 6 games. So that helped, and he's got an on-base percentage of .355.
Pretty
That's
good.
exactly where you want. Brandon Belt, I'm not worried about. Joe Panic has been hitting well. Arroyo has been in a slump now. Crawford just came back, so that helps with our lineup. Eduardo Nunez I could do without.
Well, we kind of figured he'd be around this anyways. When we did our fantasy baseball one, where we talked about who would you rather have, Stanton or Nunez, we both figured Nunez would be about here. He'll show flashes, but he's not going to be consistent. Like, we would hope for him to be a 300 hitter while he steals bases, and he's more so between the 240 and 260 range, and he's right around there. So we knew what we were getting on that.
You're absolutely right. What you alluded to with the month of June. If they can't do it in June, then I've said if you can't get it done in June, the season might be a loss. Now it depends on where you're going to be at, but if they can keep up what they're doing now, where they're starting to win, you can lose a couple of games here and there. That's okay, but when you continue to lose how they were for a while, it's not going to look good, and you might have to start thinking about. We need to trade Eduardo Nunez and Nick Hundley, who become free agents after this year, and maybe get some draft picks.
Right.
Trade them to guys who are contending, who need maybe a backup catcher, or possibly a fill-in catcher who a guy might be injured later on.
Right.
Eduardo Nunez is a fast guy, so if you need a guy who's on the base pass, you have that where you could trade. Because what I put on here is the Giants have 2 prospects right now in the top 100. I will grant it. The Giants do not have a deep prospect pool. You have 2 guys in the top 100. When you talk about the Dodgers or you talk about the Yankees, those top teams like that, you get guys who you have maybe 5 or 6, possibly even 7 guys in the top 100. The Giants have 2. If you're this top organization, like the Giants have been for a while now, they have no prospects. You have Christian Arroyo and you have Tyler Beede. That's all you have to look forward to. Arroyo's already on the Giants. He was number 80. Tyler Beede is in AAA right now. He's number 79, and you really can't rush him. But at this point, you might have to if you're trying to compete. Now, what I would suggest is if June does not go well, trade away Nunez, trade away Hundley, get some more prospects or draft picks. And that might help you. Because after June, that's when Madison Bumgarner will come back. And if you're in a position where you can win, then you can keep those guys. If you're not in a position where you're going to be competitive, it's time to, honestly, I usually don't say this, but the way that the Giants are trending right now, they're really old and they don't have a lot of young guys. Trade away Nunez and Hundley. Cut this season as a loss, and try and get some prospects out of it.
You need to get younger before it's too late. And I completely agree. Obviously, I'm not going to argue with you because you're the all-knowing oracle of baseball when it comes to the Giants. But in all seriousness, no. Like, it is encouraging that June. It seems like the schedule is a little bit easier, just based off of wins and losses amongst the teams, which tells me that we just need to settle down and get in there. But one thing that kind of I'm not seeing, and again, this is probably just because baseball is a long season, so you really don't want to expend too much energy throughout the season. In the event you get in the playoffs and you need it then. But I would also say, like, when it comes to at least staying in the fight for at least a hunt, because again, like what you're saying, if you let June get away because of whatever, it's over. Like, you're just now selling off assets to get more back, to get younger and basically rebuild. Because again, our 2 biggest prospects that we have, one's already called up, one's not even ready yet, and they're not even in the top 50. They're in the top 100. So that means we don't even have most of that. And I think what we would need to do is we definitely just need to settle in, and I really would like to see a sense of urgency to fight for their season. And I sometimes think that the Giants, and maybe it's just the whole persona is like, oh, we'll pull it together, and they're confident. Maybe that's what it is. But I'd like to see a sense of urgency of these games are a little bit more now important. Granted, it's only May. But again, you are, 9 games back? Almost 12. You're 9 games back right now of your first place division. You're not even in the running now for a wild card. You just are now just trying to stay afloat. And you've got 5 games above Toronto right now. Because I think Toronto has about as many wins as we did, and they were 3-12 when we did our first video. So put that in perspective.
I just wanted to say this real quick before we end here. When I was talking about Michael Morris, Justin Ruggiano, Gorkis Hernandez, those are guys who are nice fill-ins for now. I mean, honestly, it's not even nice. It's just what we have, and that's my issue. Is we don't have anyone that we can be like. It was coming off the bench. So when Hunter Pence just went on the DL, it wasn't like I was like, oh well, we get to see what this guy does. Except Mac Williamson came up and he's been doing really well, and I like Mac Williamson because we saw him last year. And he did well. But who else do we have? We can't have Jared Parker now. He's out. I'm not really excited about Michael Morris, especially today's Giants-Dodgers game. He was terrible. Hernandez can't hit. He can't get on base. He's fast, but he doesn't get on base. And then Justin Ruggiano is just a guy that we had to get because we had no one else. So that's my issue. I feel like we need more prospects. Hopefully, the draft in June, we might get some guys, and maybe we'll make a trade to get some extra stuff.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for joining us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Drew Code Sports Talk, and please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which is also Drew Code Sports Talk. Thank you.